every once in a while, we hear about these stories where someone suffers some sort of tragedy and they miraculously survive. Well, a 3-year-old boy in China is definitely no exception. Apparently, he survived after falling from a building's 3rd floor, and he actually hit a parked car. It's amazing. Now, the boy's grandparents who were at home said that they were busy with the household work, so they weren't able to keep a watchful eye on him. But when the parents arrived later that day, they took their son to the hospital, finding that he only had a few scratches and no serious injuries. So he is a very resilient 3-year-old, and thankfully he did survive. That's amazing. I have to be honest, when I first read this story, I'm like, this isn't true, but we have video evidence of it. And so I'm glad that he survived. I'm glad everything is okay. But I want to know what you guys think. Francis, make your point.
Well, I mean, just straight to the point, he should be a stuntman in the future. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, it's not even that he falls clean. Maybe there might be a soft landing on the top of the car. Right. He clips the edge of it and then lands straight in the concrete and just walks up as if he just had a couple of tequilas and just stumbles across to the side. Like,
when is there ever a soft landing on the top of the car?
I bet it's softer. There's some give. Like, unless concrete doesn't give down, like car will kind of bounce up and down a little bit. It will still be sore. Yeah. It's but stuntman has to be. He's got rubber bones or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How come no one ever falls on like a topless car? Right?
like in the movies. In the movies where it's just a random trash can just wanders by and they fall right on top of a nice pile of trash.
Yeah.
If only.
Weird. Hannah, what do you think? Make your point.
I mean, new parents are always talking about like how fragile they think their kids are, and this is just kind of like an example of maybe they're not so fragile after all. You could just, you know, they could fall a little bit, not out of a building, but they're probably more resilient than we think.
I think in the U.S., people are overly cautious with their kids, right? They don't want their kids to ever deal with germs, but I mean, that obviously helps them build their immune system. Yeah, we definitely baby our kids. No pun intended. All right, so here's the question for the story. Have you narrowly escaped a dangerous situation? Hannah.
Yes, I have. I was in Mexico, and we were on a catamaran, you know, where it has like the 2 floats, and we decided that we wanted to snorkel. We were near whales, so we wanted to snorkel with them. So we tied a rope between the 2 floats and all jumped in and held on it, and then the boat went up to like 15 miles per hour. So we're all like dangling, and I thought it'd be a really good idea not to hold the looped part, but to hold the string at the end.
Oh my God.
And then we're going 15 miles per hour, and I start slipping, and I was like freaking out, because if I fall, I go into the propeller. I was freaking out. And so at one point, I was holding with one hand, like trying to grab my friend's leg, and thankfully the captain of the boat was watching over, saw me and pulled me up, and like I grabbed onto the loop. But there was like one of those moments where your eyes are like bulging out, you're like, this is it, this is the end.
Oh my God, that's a really bad way to go.
Yeah, it would have been.
Mine's happened my freshman year, and I came here from Scotland to LA, went to Hollywood to a party, and then we met up with these group of boys and girls who were very friendly, and they said, why don't you just come back to an after party? So I have no idea of where anything is at this point. This is like 3 weeks into my freshman year. And then I only knew later on when I dropped by, I was in Inglewood, and they took us next to Hollywood, which isn't next to Hollywood. Like, we were in the car for about 20 minutes, and I just didn't realize I'd obviously had a few drinks. And next minute, the party we were going to go to wasn't there anymore, so it was just me and my friend from college, and we get dropped off, and the people we were with just suddenly dispersed, and we were stuck in the middle of this area. And I was like, from Scotland, you walk everywhere, so I had no problem walking. I was like, I'll just walk and get a cab. I had no idea. And we're walking down the street, and then a huge group of boys, like our older guys, are down the street, and they start bolting towards us, running. So I mean, I had no idea. So I just started sprinting away, and luckily, like, a cab was at the very end on the main street and managed to take us back. But that's what happens when you come to a foreign country and you don't have a clue.
You have no clue.
Yeah.
You know, for me, a near-death experience was with someone that I used to date. He was a big car guy, loved to go racing, and you know, unfortunately, he would do something really irresponsible, drag racing. And so one day I was in the car with him. I think someone challenged him to a race. They do like this weird thing where they like randomly speed up and then they slow down, speed up and slow down. It's like trying to provoke the race, right? And so he started racing the guy, and there was a car in front of us that suddenly stopped, and he was going insanely fast. I mean, it is miraculous that he had enough time to stop before hitting the car, but my life flashed before my eyes. And then after that, like, my whole mindset about drag racing changed, because at first I was like, oh, it's so cool, like, he's got such a nice fast car. And then after that I was like, oh, I almost died because he likes to race this stupid car. So that was a growing experience for me. But, you know, sometimes you need to come to a near-death experience to realize how stupid some behavior is. Share your stories, though. I want to know whether or not you have ever faced a near-death experience. And also, what do you make of the story of the 3-year-old falling from the 3rd floor of a building? It is amazing. I want to hear your comments on that video. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you soon.